Chapter 7. Sewage pollution. Before we discuss this pollution, I would like to ask you all one question. Do you want to see this every day? In your daily activities? I believe no one, right? Or, like this. Or, this situation when you go to the beach. I am sure that all you want to have this condition, with crystal clear water. Or this environment when you go to a waterfall or river to swim. I like to share this photo. And this is the reality in our daily life. As you know, Malaysia is categorized as a developing country. If you visit before developed country, in this case, the nearest is Singapore, you can see how different both countries manage their waste. What is sewage? Sewage waste is created by residences, institutions, hospitals, commercial, and industrial establishments. Industrial sources of wastewater often require specialized treatment processes before they release to the nearby catchment area. The major pollutants in the rivers of Asian countries are domestic sewage. Mean that most of the river in Asian countries including Malaysia, you can easily find the sewage. The major constituents of sewage commonly found are: large portions are organic matter in dissolved, suspended or settable solid forms. This organic matter will give high BOD and low DO, or it could cause an oxic condition. Mean that, low or no oxygen in this area. If this situation occurs, high mortality of fish, or organism may be found. Sewage is one of the most significant pollutants affecting coastal environments, especially in developing nations. Sewage also can be defined as everything that goes down the kitchen, laundry, and bathroom sink, as well as what is flushed down the toilet. Sewage is mostly made up of water. Approximately 99.5% is water if you compress it. The major contributor is human sewage from a population center that is discharged from waste treatment plants. The inadequate number of sewage treatment plants in operation versus the population. Poor operating conditions of available treatment plants. Disposal practices of discharging mostly untreated wastewater. The discharge of sewage can cause public health problems either from contact with polluted waters, or from the consumption of contaminated fish or shellfish. Think again. Primary contact, and secondary contact. The discharge of untreated sewage effluents also produce long-term adverse impacts on the ecology of critical coastal ecosystems, in localized areas due to the contribution of nutrients and other pollutants. The typical pollutants in sewage effluents are suspended solids, oxygen-demanding substances, nitrogen, phosphorus, oil, grease, and pathogens. Industrial wastewater has a wider range of pollutants, which are dependent on the type of industry producing the waste. The food processing industry normally contain oxygen-demanding substances, while chemical industry usually releases toxic substances to the nearby aquatic environment. Pollution due to inadequate sewage disposal causes nutrient enrichment around population centers. And this might cause eutrophication process, or red tide bloom, or algae bloom. A high level of chemical nutrients mainly contains nitrogen and phosphorus. Increased nutrient concentrations promote increased algal and bacterial growth, degradation of seagrass and coral reef ecosystems, decreased fisheries production, along with risks to human health. A high amount of bacteria may contain pathogenic species and cause contamination to shellfishes and other organisms, and render water to be unsafe for recreation and aquaculture. The presence of detergents, oil and greases, heavy metals and other chemicals, which may be toxic to the aquatic organism, or they may be bioaccumulated in the organism through food chains, and become toxic to humans. Humans always become at the top of the food chain, or food web. High levels of the suspended particle are found, and this can cause a reduction of primary productivity, and suffocation of the benthic organism. Let's focus on the treatment processes. Do you know what microorganism is used in the sewage treatment process? The answer is bacteria. The sewage treatment involves several stages, called preliminary, primary, secondary, and tertiary treatment. The final effluent can be discharged into a stream, river, bay, lagoon or wetland, or it can be used for the irrigation of a golf course or park. If it is sufficiently clean, it can also be used for agricultural purposes. How about the sewage or waste treatment in Malaysia? In Malaysia, the process also involves the basic 4 types of treatment. The first treatment is preliminary sewage treatment. This treatment deals with large solids, which are removed by screening, and returned to the sewage flow. Screening, and grinding for the removal of debris and rags, grit removal by sedimentation, and flotation for the removal of excess oil and grease. The second treatment is primary sewage treatment. In this stage, the screening and sedimentation process removes some of the suspended solid and organic matter. It is initially filtered to remove large, non-biodegradable solids by passage through bar screens. This stage can be known as physical treatment. The third treatment is secondary sewage treatment. In this stage, the process involves in remove biodegradable organic and suspended solids, mainly using biological processes. Based on maximizing or activating the growth of aerobic heterotrophic bacteria, fungi and protozoa such that they break down the dissolved organics and/or incorporate them into new microbial cells, biomass, which then settle out of suspension, together with undigested material, as a sludge. Since the desired microbial populations are aerobic, it is crucial that the system be highly aerated. This stage also can be known as biological treatment, as it is using organisms to treat the water. The last stage is tertiary sewage treatment. In this stage, the process involves removing nutrients, toxic substances, including heavy metals, and further removing suspended solids and organics. The now nearly purified water flows from the post-secondary sedimentation tanks into a large basin, where it is chlorinated to kill any remaining potential pathogens. Finally, any remaining solids are left to sink to the bottom of a tank, and the effluent will flow out from the treatment plant. The treated wastewater is now safe to be released into rivers, lakes and seas. But what is left is the sludge, which needs to be dried by pressing, drying or burning. This sludge is also an excellent soil conditioner for plant. This stage can be known as a combination of chemical, physical and biological processes. This figure summarized the treatment process before the influent released to the environment, from the primary, secondary, and tertiary treatment. That's all for this chapter. Thank you. Have a nice day.